Hello, and welcome to Hearsay Studios, or as we like to call it, Casa de Septic. This is where my band jams, where the music and the magic happen. My name is McZachary. These are my DIY band tutorials. Let's get into it. Okay, so I want to start out by letting you know that there is no list of rules set in stone that you have to follow to get your band off of the ground. I also want to let you guys know that if you're already in a band, I'm starting from scratch here. So, the first few videos may not be beneficial, but I'm hoping down the road as I get a little more into the more involved parts here that you do find something beneficial and that it helps you out. The information I'm providing was all a bunch of tips, tricks, and pointers that I've been fortunate enough to have passed down to me by other people who have been involved in the music community for quite some time. So I wanted to return the favor by making these videos and sharing it with all y'all. So let's just jump right into this here. You're starting a band, and what kind of equipment do you need? What is really necessary? Some things you're going to want to think about. What instrument do you want to play? Are you a guitar player, bass player, keyboardist, vocalist? The voice is an instrument. So figuring out which one of those you want to do, or if you want to play an instrument and sing, you can absolutely do that. And I'm going to be straight open and honest with you. To get started, you really don't need $1,000 instruments or huge cabs and guitar amps and things like that. To get started, you really just need your instrument, like an electric guitar or bass, and a little practice amp. You can get a guitar and bass player on little amps like these and get a good jam session going, and things are going to work out pretty good. Also, it's not going to piss a bunch of people off as you're practicing. You're not shaking walls and irritating the neighbors. These are just little practice amps. You can sing over these pretty easily because they're not so loud. So if you find a vocalist, or if one of you is a singer, you don't need a PA just yet. You might want to get like a case for your guitar. If it comes down to it, you can get a soft gig bag to put these things in. But if you can find a hard shell case, that's going to come in super handy. Later down the road, you're going to be moving that guitar around, taking it to shows, packing it in the back of a rig with a bunch of other equipment, and that hard shell case is going to save it from snapping in half or getting chipped or beat up, things along those lines. I also recommend getting a tuner, learning how to tune and maintain your instrument. So this is something they call a snark right here, and it just clips to the head of your guitar. I'll clip it to the mic right here. It just clips to the head of your guitar. There are apps available on your smartphone, and there's pedals that you can get that are all tuners. Definitely want to get used to tuning your instrument. The benefit to these snarks and also the pedals is that it doesn't matter if other people are playing around in the room. Someone's fiddling on their bass or guitar. You don't have to worry about that. This will only pick up your instrument, so that can come in super handy. There's apps on phones, like on your smartphone, that really pick up the sound, and so everyone has to be quiet in order for your phone to pick up just your instrument. Well, those are free, so they can come in handy. If you're just playing an acoustic guitar at home, you can use something like that and make sure that you're playing the right notes and everything's going well. And maintaining your guitar, changing those strings. You have to change the strings. I'm super bad about it. My strings get really rusty and I play them until they break, and that's not a good habit to be in. A lot of people change their strings every show. I'm not saying you necessarily have to do that, because if you get the right strings and you keep your guitar in tune and in a warm, dry place, you take care of your instrument, you won't have to change the strings that often. But after you play for a while, you'll notice how nice of a sound you can really get out of it when you do change those strings once you get it into tune. Getting used to changing those strings yourself, that comes in super handy. You know, if you're playing a drum set, changing those heads, making sure that you got new sticks because you're going to go through sticks. I can tell you, my drummer that sits back here has a pile of sawdust around his throne for where he sits. Having extra sets of strings, sticks, those will come in handy. Guitar picks for sure. I was talking about how you really just need like a basic practice amp if you're playing a bass or a guitar. Well, you know, even drums, you only need a simple drum set to get going. You don't have to have something on a huge rack. You don't have to have that double kick pedal. You really just need a kick, a snare, a hi-hat, and a ride, and you can really keep a solid beat. Which brings me to my next point. You need to practice. Get good at your instrument. And you want to figure out what kind of music you want to play. So whether you're playing punk rock, heavy metal, country, indie, emo, it doesn't matter. You know, all of those are great. Just figure out what you want to play and start practicing geared towards that genre that you want to get into. If you can play 3 chords and a progression and keep a steady melody going, that's good. If you're playing drums, you want to make sure you can keep a solid beat. If you're a vocalist, you know, go to karaoke or something. Make sure that people think you can sing, or that you think you can sing at least. You want to practice your instrument, and that includes whether it's an instrument or if you're a vocalist, your instrument right here. Your voice is an instrument. You really only need these basic things. You really want to keep it simple. And the main reason that I was saying that is because your equipment is only as good as the person using it. So you don't need $1,000 instruments if you're starting out playing guitar. You don't need huge 410, 412 cabs that are tube head and hot rodded out if you don't know how to use those things just yet. Starting out with a little solid state cab like this is great because there's simple controls. There's nothing here that you can't figure out. I really like these solid state heads too. They're a little more durable. They might not have a particular sound that you're looking for, but you can get a really good clean channel and a really mean distortion out of them. You know, if you're getting to the point where you like switching between distortion and clean channels, this thing has an overdrive built into it. The one disadvantage is that, you know, while you're playing guitar, you don't have the hands to push that button. So thinking about maybe getting yourself a distortion pedal so you can do that with your foot, that'll come in handy. I'm going to share a little picture here. That's what those look like. A couple things you also might want to consider is learning to read tablature or tabs. Getting yourself some of those posters that you see. You know, they've got chord chart posters. Put one right here. Yeah, okay. And, you know, all kinds of music theory stuff available. So having those so that you're not flipping through a book trying to find the page with whatever chord or progression you're looking at. Tablature can come in super handy because it's easy to read, and it helps you and your bass player to communicate. You can write the riff down into tabs and then just hand it to them, and they can take that home and practice. Like I was saying, so chord charts on posters that you can put up so you can just look at it on the wall while you're jamming your guitar. It's going to save you a lot of time. Maybe some music theory posters and apps. Start investigating those kinds of things. I found Wheel of Fifths, which you can look into, do a little research. But I found a Wheel of Fifths app that you can put on your smartphone as well, and it lets you turn the wheel, and that'll come in handy for like your songwriting and things along those lines. But really kind of delving into it and picking these things up. I'm going to leave links in the description below. You can go check those out where you can find yourself decent, you know, not expensive instruments, some decent practice amps, things along those lines. Before I let you go, I want to thank you for watching. Please take a moment to like and subscribe to my channel. Maybe share me with your friends and stick around because in the next episode, I'm going to teach you how to find people to jam with